Are we live now?
You are in one moment.
Okay.
Okay, you are now.
Good morning. Today is Friday, February the 24th, 2023. I'm Delegate Edith Patterson, and I'm delighted to welcome you to the Southern Maryland delegation meeting. And I'd also like to wish my Chief of Staff, Kara Franklin, a very happy birthday. That was a surprise.
Thank you.
We will commence with the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Delegate Todd Morgan, if he's on. If not, then...
Todd is here.
Oh, great. Thank
Flag
you.
in hand.
Good morning. Delegate Morgan, good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Can we please say the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We'll begin up with prayer from Delegate Jeff Long.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Shall we all pray? Gracious God, you alone have been our dwelling place. From everlasting to everlasting, you are God. We thank you for this day because this is a day that you have made. We make the choice to rejoice and to be glad within it. Gracious Father, we thank you for every member of this auspicious Southern Maryland delegation. We pray for your anointing, your blessing, your favor, and increase upon everything that we put our hands to for the advancement of our respective communities. We thank you for our chair and for her diligence. We thank you for each and every member for sacrificing time from their families to be here in the service of you and your people. We pray all these things in your mighty name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. Members of the delegation, as well as those on Zoom, we're so excited and very pleased to welcome the Acting Secretary of Agriculture, Dr. Addicks. He was appointed on January the 18th, but prior to his appointment, he was CEO and founder of Grow and Fortify. It's a nonprofit that supports value-added agriculture organizations and businesses they represent. Dr. Addicks is a Maryland native, born in Bowie, and has served as executive director of the Maryland Wineries Association, Brewers Association of Maryland, the Maryland Distilleries Guild, and so much more. Please join me in welcoming our acting secretary, soon to be secretary, full, Kevin Addicks. Welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good morning to everybody. Thanks again for the invite to come and speak. We've got some members of my team assembling remotely because we've got all offsite meetings today with the USDA secretary who's coming to Maryland, and I'll be up in Baltimore County presenting to a school group talking about agriculture and education. So I'll give just a brief overview of our priorities and where things are with the Maryland Department of Ag and just agriculture in general under this administration. I'll say that the industry early in the transition was concerned because we didn't necessarily see agriculture as a top line priority. But when we started speaking with the governor and lieutenant governor and the transition team, we came to realize that ag was embedded in all of them. The fact that we grow food, the fact that we have a role to play in preserving the bay and preserving farmland and recreation, et cetera, et cetera. So agriculture is in fact still the #1 industry in the state. And I can say, because I've seen it myself, that agriculture is changing. And I know that a lot of the folks on this Zoom know that because you've got constituents who used to be, strictly commodity farmers, and they have begun to reach out directly to consumers. And that is where the real value is going to be going forward. Farmers in Maryland have a couple of unique parameters to operate under. The first is we've always got the backdrop of the Bay. So going forward, and we have for a very long time, we've farmed with the Bay in mind, and we are incredible stewards, and actually the original conservationists and environmentalists, because the way we grow and how we need to grow depends on healthy soil, and our agency's been helping with unique practices that are truly unique to Maryland, to make sure that we're doing everything we can to be good stewards of the Bay. But also, if you think about Maryland farmers and the access they have to markets, it is second to none. Every farmer in the state, especially in Southern Maryland, you're within an hour or 2 hours of 2 or 3 major metropolitan markets. And those markets are filled with people who are hungry for buying local and enjoying local and promoting local. And so as we make that turn, and it's a slow turn away from growing feedstock and growing commodities, to instead starting to grow things that consumers directly are very interested in, Maryland agriculture will become exponentially more profitable. And when it becomes more profitable, it can stand up to and withstand the pressures that development brings. And that's the other kind of element that we live under that most other states do not. And that is that we are within those markets, and our farms are located in drive times to major metro areas. And so there's incredible development pressure. And so our main priority in the department is going to be to give farmers the tools they need to be as profitable as possible, to make that turn from commodity bulk pricing and wholesale pricing to retail, if they want to enter that market, to clear that path and allow them to do that. There are some incredible opportunities in Southern Maryland specifically. I know that there are meetings ongoing about the Lothian grain elevator, and making sure that maintains a viable opportunity for the local farmers, but also that there are potentially other things that can be done at that property. So I'm very excited about the future of agriculture, very excited about all the things that we're doing, and I'm happy to answer any questions about what we're doing, what our priorities are. But I'll turn it back to you. I see a hand with Senator Jackson.
Thank you very much. Senator Jackson, you have a question?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Secretary, glad that you're in this position. I've enjoyed my working relationship with you. I think you and I met when a winery in Calvert County thought to create a brewery, and they weren't able to come to an agreement with Calvert County, and they ended up putting that brewery in Prince George's County. And so that's when you and I first met, and I've enjoyed our relationship going forward. And your accessibility was very, very welcoming and very valuable. And we're sure that we're going to have the same relationship going forward. So I look forward to being a part of the team that confirms you. So,
well, I appreciate that, and thank you. And yes, I've spent 20 years out and about representing the industry, and I plan to spend the next few doing the same, but from a different perspective. But I'll be as accessible, and if ever you have any questions about farms, food, the Bay, please reach out. I'm happy to give my cell phone, my number. But please, any time. And also, you'll notice, and a few of you have seen it in your committees, the administration has charged the agencies with being accessible. Get out there and be accessible to lawmakers, and don't hide the ball. Get in front of the legislature. Be proactive, and that's something that I'm taking very seriously. And I'm a full believer that this industry needs to be, and this agency needs to be proactive, because there are always going to be other ideas about what our farmers should be doing, and we should be right at that table from the beginning.
Absolutely. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. The next question is from Delegate Long.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to echo the sentiments of Senator Jackson. Mr. Secretary, I'm a witness from seeing you come to the Environment Transportation Committee and just brief us, especially knowing that agriculture is one of the #1 industries in Maryland in the state. So I just wanted to thank you again for demonstrating that accessibility that the administration has been pushing for. And so again, we're definitely looking forward to working with you, especially from the lens of Northern Calvert County and all that we have as far as our rural communities. So I just wanted to again tip my hat off to you and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Delia. You'll see a lot of us in ENT for better or worse.
Before you leave, Secretary Adams, I have a question
So better for
regarding your priorities for young people, potentially young farmers. That's one of my concerns about preparing those who are interested or should be interested in farming for the future.
Well, I'll take that one word you said, should be. So our first challenge is going to be to make sure that agriculture is at least exposed to students at all levels in some capacity. If we can engage them, that's even better. But at the very base, we need to make sure that agriculture is discussed, that farming is discussed. The word agriculture is a little, I don't know, theoretical, off-putting, but farming and food and fruit and, you know, animals, right? If you can get students in front of or on a farm is the best opportunity, but part of a club, if you can plant a garden, if you can, you know, get them to start a aquaculture, aquaponics tank where they're growing, which is what we did with my daughter in her school and got a bunch of kids very excited about it, growing mint and goldfish and, you know, talking about that life cycle, about how the fish are actually feeding the plants. That's going to be incredible. Education is going to be a big deal going forward, certainly with the blueprint and you know, the heavy lifts like that, but also there are some real soft ways that we can get agriculture in front of students. When you think about agriculture as a whole, every subject can be applied to agriculture and vice versa, whether it's chemistry, whether it's civics, whether it's political science, whether it's geography, whether it's obviously chemistry, biology. You can infuse farming into all of those. And so that definitely needs to be a priority. Our agency manages the farm to school, you know, school lunches, making sure that fresh food is coming in, also SNAP benefits. There are lots of ways that we already interact. I'm not sure how well we brand that as farming. This food that you're eating came from Maryland farms. This is what that means. So there's going to be a lot of those efforts going forward, and we're going to be collaborating. We've already begun collaborating with other agencies to get that done.
That's great to hear. Thank you so much. I don't see any other hands. Thank you so much for being with us.
And Madam Chair, I do have two members of the team on here. I see Jessica Hackett joining from her secure remote location, and Hans Schmidt as well. See if they have anything to add. As I mentioned, we're all kind of on the road at the moment, or about to be. So
I don't think so. I apologize. We got in on late, and just a pleasure to be here. And we're here to help assist with whatever your delegation and the citizens within your areas are to hear. My role is resource conservation, primarily working with Chesapeake Bay initiatives and so forth, and looking at climate change and environmental justice, and trying to make sure we're, encumbering all those initiatives to help improve, the environment and so forth. And I have Kevin Conroy also here in my office.
I'm Assistant Secretary as well. My presentation, I'm not sure if Kevin was able to cover it, was about spotted lanternfly. So if anybody had any questions about that, I'd be happy to follow up afterwards. I don't want to waste any more of your time. So again, apologies for being late. We had an issue trying to get the link.
I will say, just on that point about spotted lanternfly, I'm not sure how much Southern Maryland has been affected by it. Northern parts of Maryland have begun to be infiltrated by these little beasts, and I have one here with me that it was the first one that I found on my property, and I decided I needed a souvenir. So he's my collector's item. But these are pests that are incredibly devastating to certain crops and to trees, and they are making their way down from Pennsylvania. And soon our quarantine will be expanded into certain southern Maryland counties where we found active populations of these spotted lanternflies, but we expect them to spread. We're kind of waiting on nature and science to figure out what's next on how to combat these. So we're hoping something decides they're delicious and tells their friends and starts eating them naturally. But in the meantime, USDA is working on some potential treatments.
And Madam Chair, if I might, real quickly, I'm glad to hear you bring that subject matter up. I live in Prince George's, and I was funny as I got out of my car last night when I got home, and I was on my cell phone, and the person I was talking to said, "What exactly is that noise in the back? Where are you?" Right? They were live, and quite loud down there where we are. So appreciate the attention to that as well. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you. Are you suggesting that you have spotted these insects in Prince George's?
Absolutely. I live in, I am rural Prince George's. I am right in the thick of it. So absolutely.
Okay. Thank you. Well, thank you again, Secretary Addock. I don't see any other hands. We appreciate your taking the time to be with us, and the information is very insightful.
Well, please reach out if anything comes up, and I'd like to make this an annual visit, if not more often. So, and also to all of you who are interested in bringing our agency down into your districts, once we get past session, set something up, we can invite the local farmers in, and it would be a great forum to have our team and your team there to field questions and just
That's
talk about
good.
future of ag.
Thank you so much. We will
Thank
take that into consideration. Thank you.
Cheers.
Okay, next on the agenda is Anne Marie Sculpture Garden and Art Center. Certainly a hidden jewel in Calvert County, but it's certainly servicing all of Southern Maryland. So Stacy Hahn Ruff and Maria McDonald, if you would start your presentation.
Good morning. Thanks so much for having us. We're sharing the screen today, a little easier since we're sharing the presentation. It's wonderful to see you all. Actually, we have a little PowerPoint, so are we able to share it? I don't know whose screen that is, but if we could share a screen, that would be great. If it's not possible, I can just continue on without it.
Okay.
Sorry, folks. I'm trying. It says that you should be able to share. Here we go. Try again. Try again.
Let's see. It says we're viewing your screen.
Oh, let's hope you're not doing that.
Yeah, I can see. I'm sorry, I can see your desktop. All right. Can you see mine?
Why don't you start the presentation and we'll try and catch up, okay?
Okay. I'm not certain. Can you guys see? Does it say Amory Sculpture Garden and Art Center?
Doesn't sound like.
No, we can't see it.
Let's see.
You can
Oh, wait.
verbalize the juice. Okay.
All right.
Yeah,
I
we
might
gotta
have it
start.
now. All right. What about now? Any better?
Yeah, we can see it.
Oh, excellent. Okay, sorry. I'm glad we got something figured out there. All right. Maria and I are from Amory Sculpture Garden and Art Center, and I'm going to give you a very quick overview of who we are and what we do. In a nutshell, we are a facility where art and nature meet, and we use creative activities and nature to explore all kinds of things in the world, from math to engineering to soil science. We use art and nature as a lens to look at and explore the world. Our mission, oh, and I should mention, if you see that Smithsonian tagline under our name, we are not owned by the Smithsonian, nor do we receive any funding from them. Rather, if you're familiar with that program, what that does is it allows us to borrow things from the Smithsonian. So we have about 30, 35 pieces of art on loan from the Smithsonian and several from the National Gallery of Art. So we've been a member of their affiliations program for 20 plus years. And that's what has allowed us to turn this facility into the park of it into a sculpture garden. So it's been a great partnership for us with the Smithsonian. As I said, our mission is to bring together art and nature. We use this to present a whole bunch all throughout the year, exhibits, programs, classes, public projects. We really believe that art and nature are the key to lifting the spirit and creating healthy communities and societies. And we're very passionate about that. We welcome people from all over the world, but our bread and butter is Southern Maryland. And but we hope to grow beyond that in the years to come. And some of our key goals that we keep in mind every day when we're working here, we believe strongly that we should be attracting tourists to Southern Maryland. We know how important that is to our business community. For we love tourists, right? They come, they spend their money, and they leave. And so we have a very strong tourism component to our operations. We also serve our local community. We seek out and present educational activities, recreational, creative activities. So we really work to enhance the quality of life for the residents of all ages and all backgrounds in our community. But we also work equally hard to support our business community as well through tourism and other activities. If you look at, and just kind of at a glance, last year we welcomed, we think probably about 100,000 people. We confirmed 95,000, but there are times of the day that we don't do visitor counts every morning and some other times. So we estimate our attendance is probably close to 100,000, and that's a record for us. We've seen our attendance go up every year for quite some time. And during COVID, we were incredibly busy as people sought out open spaces to spend time. We are open 7 days a week, 353 days out of the year. We hold, I think at count, 15 large events every year. We describe a large event as more than 1,000 people. Our largest event is Garden and Lights, and this is held every December. It's a really important fundraising event for us, and it attracts about 37,000 people. We are really proud of that number because who else can bring nearly 40,000 people to Southern Maryland in December? So we think the economic impact on our community from our operation is pretty significant. But we are a heavy event-driven facility, so most of the people that come to the garden are coming for one of those 15 big events that we host every year. We have a very lively volunteer program. Like a lot of places, it did take a bit of a hit during COVID, so we are still recovering from that. But right now we're seeing that our numbers go back up. We have about 200 active volunteers, and they logged over 4,000 volunteer hours last year. Volunteers are critical to everything we do. We couldn't run our events without them. And so they do everything. They answer the phones, they greet our guests at our front desk, they work admissions at our events. They are across the board. We have volunteers here every day of the year. We're also very proud of our pay what you can admission system. This came about during COVID, and I think all of you probably experienced this. We learned new things during COVID, and we tried new things. And some of them were in such an awful situation. We were given some gifts. And this was one of them. We realized that we no longer wanted to have a true admission system. Instead, we wanted to have an admission donation system where we suggest a donation, which is $5, but it's really pay what you can. And that way we never turn people away. And the system, so they choose their own donation amount. Sometimes people don't pay anything. Sometimes they pay more. They might pay $20, but it allows us to operate the garden with open arms so that nobody is turned away. And that fits perfectly with our mission of creating a healthy society and uplifting the spirit. And I can tell when we rolled out this system, I saw a difference in our volunteers and in our staff, is that it just kind of made a difference in the day-to-day spirit of the place. We were like, okay, we finally found the secret sauce to how to be a member of our community. So it's really important to us. We also rolled out during COVID, I don't know if you all are familiar with this, there's a Museums for All program. It's a national program. Any museum can join it, and you commit to providing reduced cost tickets for your museum. And we also embraced that program right around the time of COVID. What that has done is that for our events, which do have a ticket price, and ticket prices can vary from the event. Some are $5, Garden and Lights happens to be $15 per person. So they can get expensive for some families. The Museums for All program, we follow their rules. So they've laid the rules out for this program. You provide your SNAP card, and you and the SNAP card holder and 3 family members can get into events for reduced price. So I think at Garden and Lights, it was $2 or $3 a person. We have some events where SNAP card holders will get in for free. And then, so admission for a SNAP card holder is going to be anywhere from $2, $3. For Garden and Lights, we had more than 500 SNAP card holders take advantage of that program. And we see that program growing every year as word spreads and as our programs grow. So we are really proud of those 2 ways. These have been important ways for us to expand our mission to underserved communities, to low-income families. And so they've become a cornerstone, I think, to our operations. We also have a very strong membership program. These are people that pay membership dues every year, and they get different benefits. Members get in free to most of our events. And you can see most of our members are in Southern Maryland. Last year, we had over 1,500 members, and they bring in revenues of over $100,000. And this is really an opportunity for people with means to step up and support. So all of our members are helping fund, if you think about it, they are helping fund our SNAP program and our Pay What You Can admission system. So we're grateful to our members for their faith in what we're doing and really stepping up and contributing financially to our operations. Just a little bit about how we're structured. The property, the Amory Garden itself is 30 acres. The property was donated to the people of Calvert County in 1991 by Fran and Anne Marie Koenig. That's where we get our name. They had a vision that they thought Calvert County needed a sculpture and botanical garden. And it took a little while for them to convince everyone of the merit of their vision. You know, sometimes people with a vision, it takes a while to communicate that vision and get people on board, but they kept working at it, and the property was donated in 91. The development of the property really did not take off until 2002, when 2 nonprofit organizations came together, the Koenig Private Foundation and Ann Circle. And Ann Circle is That name probably sounds familiar because that's who is pushing forward on our legislative bond initiative request. And you know what? I'm going to skip through to the next slide. What I wanted to say about this, about our property, is that this is a public-private partnership. The main 30 acres of our property, as I said, is owned by Calvert County, but it is operated and managed by 3 entities: the county, Ann Circle, and the Koenig Private Foundation. And they have worked together for over 20 years to operate the garden. And I will tell you, it's been a very cordial and a very productive relationship. And this is common. I think you all you see organizations all over Maryland and probably across the United States, often with art, culture, history. It takes this collaborative approach to fund and support and operate them. And so we are a good example of that. And in our case, it has been very productive. In 2008, we worked together to raise money and build a building. In fact, our arts building, which opened in 2008, was partially funded by 2 LBIs, I think for a total of $250,000, something like that. When this building opened in 2008, it really transformed our operations. Prior to that, if you see, there's a little map right there, and you can see the arts building. It's kind of the big rectangle in the middle. Prior to the arts building opening, we had actually, we were in it yesterday, we had a very, very small office. So we didn't have a lot of indoor space. In 2008, we opened this 15,000 square foot arts building, and it completely transformed our operations. It gave us indoor gallery space. It gave us new office space. It allowed us to convert some other buildings into the clay studio and the artist house and classroom space. So looking at this map, it's kind of hard to tell, but we have 2 adjacent properties which total about 50 acres. So our campus is 50-acre campus, the 30 acres that Calvert County owns, and another 20 acres that our nonprofits own. This is we have a full service arts center here. The 15,000 square foot arts building that I told you about that has rotating exhibits. There's some other little tiny buildings on here. You can't see them very well. That's the clay studio. We have a pole barn for our maintenance team. We have classroom space. So we are fully operational. We have rotating exhibits, classes, festivals, events, programs, nature walks. We do everything. And if you move forward, you can see how active we are. Some lovely pictures of our site. Hey, I love to point out on this picture, you see some Smithsonian sculpture and sculpture that's also permanent to our site. We also, little known fact, we have a Glendale azalea collection here. We're one of the few places in the United States that has the Glendale collection. It's a variety of azalea that was created here in Maryland and at Glendale, as a matter of fact. So we're very proud of our azalea collection. What we do, as I said, we have programs, nature programs, exhibits, studio school, and a lot of special events. We really use art and nature. And when we talk about art, we're really talking about any kind of creative activity. We want art to be accessible to everyone. So sometimes it's better to talk about it as a creative thing because anybody can be creative. But we use those 2 things to explore all kinds of things and to teach scouts and summer camp kids and teens. I mean, if you look across this list, you can see that we have young people. We have, we're part of the Chess Packs program. So every 2nd grader in Calvert County comes through Amory Garden and learns about recycling, repurposing their trash.
Okay.
They learn how to sort trash. They learn all kinds of stuff.
Okay, I'm going to, because we want to have enough time for
Yes.
our members to ask questions. Is there anything that you want to offer before we close out for questions?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Can I give Maria a moment? I
Absolutely.
ran over and I'm very bad about talking.
It's
I'm
okay,
bad about
it's okay,
interviewing.
but we're sort of on a timeline, so you can offer about 2 more minutes and then
Yes.
we'll open up for questions. Thank you.
Yes, good morning, everyone. The key points that I really want to bring home is that we exist for our community, but we also exist because of our community. We're dependent on all of these programs and all of this interaction. Stacy went over a lot of this, but in particular, there are a couple of things that I find so gratifying about working here. The scholarships to the artists who could to support their work, that is a very dire need for them. And also the financial assistance and scholarships that we provide so that all families have the opportunities to send their children to some of our camps. So as we move through these slides, we're going to get to this LBI and why it's so important. Don't forget that we have a community garden, and this is very indicative of something that I think we are spectacular at, which is the art of collaboration. Because we are so welcoming to all, we include the opportunity to work with other nonprofits and groups, youth, seniors, everyone here. This is a community treasure. And our greenhouse project is going to touch on that in just a moment. Okay, and then when we think about our future, so you all know, this is a very responsible organization that really likes to grow with thought and care for next steps. So the board has sanctioned a committee to move forward. We've already started working with our consultants, large thanks to you all for the last legislative bond that was initiated. And we know that we need this. We are at capacity. If we took the camera and walked you around the offices here, you would see there is not a square inch available to anyone. Our parking for these big 15 times a year that we draw over 1,000 people is insufficient. And the community is clamoring for more. So how are we going to answer that? We have these growing pains, and we are going to address them. The first steps are going to include the projects that we highlighted on our legislative bond request. Okay, so I just want to touch on refurbishing the studio school. In order to bring growth, we look at it usually as a community. We say, do we want to grow wider or deeper? In Anne Marie's case, it is critical that we do both. So these two initiatives are going to help us with those next steps. The refurbishing the studio school will certainly give us more gallery space and increase our ability to do more educational programming, right? The current structure has some safety issues, so your support will go a long way into making that a more robust part of our campus. And how does it help us get wider and deeper with our community? The demand, we're going to be able to offer a wider variety of programming to young people and adults through our arts programs and through our nature education programs, where we see such a high level of recurring visitors and families, I might add. The way we can grow deeper is when we engage people in these classes, they become more engaged with us. There is a big circle here at Anne Marie that goes from engagement through classes to volunteering, to coming back for the festivals, to bringing new visitors. It really is a way for us to deepen our connection to the community. And I am particularly excited about the greenhouse project. In light of the opening remarks from Dr. Addix, this project does pretty much everything that he was talking about. So it is going to increase our outdoor classroom space, which is so valuable to educators, particularly when we're talking about nature programs and agriculture. But it is the collaboration with the Calvert County Master Gardeners and the projects that we're going to be doing with this, alongside some of the homeschoolers from Southern Maryland, to grow produce that is then going to be donated to the Smile Food Pantry. It is collaboration at its highest, in my opinion, because it benefits all, and that's who we are. And this all was started because of appreciation of our dream by the Rural Maryland Council, and we received a MayorDev grant to get it started, but we need your help finishing it. So in closing, I really want to say thank you so much for having us here. Your support of these projects, they're going to help us grow our ultimate goal, which is to go from being a creative and nature program hub for the region to nationally recognized. And that's where Anne Marie is going. Thank you for listening.
Well, thank you very, very much. I had the chance to visit this past spring and was very impressed and promised that we would have you present to the entire delegation. And you've done a wonderful job. If colleagues, if you haven't visited the center, Emery Gardens, please do so. You will not be disappointed. It has so much really for everyone. And so we really appreciate you and we'll continue to support you. And I noted that Charles County has very low membership. We will certainly, colleagues, try to increase that membership because it certainly is a jewel within our communities. Okay, I don't see any hands with questions. If not, thank you again very much for being part of our presentation today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Okay, the last speaker for today is Ashley Teagle of Southern Maryland Regional Association, in other words, the library.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for your time. I'm very passionate about libraries, so I'm going to stick to my handout so I stay on track this morning. So the Southern Maryland Regional Library Association is one of 3 regional resource centers here in Maryland. One's in Western Maryland, one's on the Eastern Shore. And the simplest way I would describe us is a public library that serves other public libraries. So we do a lot of supporting services to the public libraries of Calvert, Charles, and St. Mary's counties. So we were founded in 1959, and we are also considered a part of the State Library Resource Center, which again consists of the 3 regional libraries and members from the Maryland State Library Agency, as well as the State Library Resource Center out in Enoch Pratt. And so kind of carrying on in the spirit of the previous speaker, we too operate in a spirit of collaboration and try to really focus on cost savings for our public library partners. So what we do is process new materials. So when your libraries order new books, they don't just appear on the shelves. There's a whole process they go through with labeling, book covers, all of that before they get into your customers' hands. So we actually provide that as a service. We also have a staff member that's solely dedicated to interlibrary loans. So those times when customers are requesting materials that are not here in Southern Maryland, they route to us here at, we call ourselves Smyrla. So they come to Smyrla, they get temporarily added to our system so that customers locally can check them out free of charge. We can also do some consulting services for the libraries. So that really kicks in like when libraries are opening new branches. I have a fabulous head of information and access services that will work with them start to finish to get those collections up and running. So that way, when the library opens, things are available for checkout, among other things. And another big service we do is training. So I have a training and development coordinator. Librarians here in Maryland are supposed to get 90 education hours every 5 years. So by having those trainings here locally, it's a huge cost savings for the libraries, as well as just gives them that flexibility not to have to send staff far away, like to Baltimore or other locations, to make sure that we've got trained and qualified librarians right here in Southern Maryland. And then also what we call our cooperative services. So again, libraries are very technology focused. And so those are a lot of the services that we help provide. So when customers pull up your library's website and they're searching for a book on that catalog, that's one of the services that Smyrla provides to the libraries here in Southern Maryland. So what's in it for your constituents? So we, again, get the books prepared. So looking at the section on collection, cataloging, and processing, in FY22, processed more than 62,000 new books and other items that were ordered by libraries. And again, you can see the county by county breakdown here. Last year, we fulfilled 10,755 requests to get books from outside of our region. Another big service, I don't know if you've seen our delivery truck riding around, but it does have a wrap on it advertising our libraries. In FY22, we moved more than 1 million items. This is a service that runs 5 days a week. It hits all of the public libraries, as well as makes additional stops to, I believe, CSM and St. Mary's College as needed to pick up materials. So that is a tremendous service that we offer. It's just fabulous that the libraries don't have to all purchase duplicate copies of materials. They can just have their customers place a hold, and within a day or two, it's going to arrive at their local library. And again, we're living in the digital age. So we offer a variety of online resources. If you've heard of LinkedIn Learning, that's a product that the regional library supplies to Southern Maryland. This year, we added the Washington Post newspaper, as well as Consumer Reports. So we really try to be responsive to customer needs and requests for information needs. And then digital items. So again, a lot of ebooks are available through your library. There's the Libby app, the Hoopla app. So Smyrla does provide some funding support for those. And so in FY22, more than 489,000 digital items were circulated here in Southern Maryland. And lastly, we do provide some marketing support. So during our summer reading program, I don't know if you've been able to come out to our Blue Crabs nights, but we do host a library booth there. We will be at the March 2nd Southern Maryland reception. So we try to sponsor collaborative opportunities for the libraries to get out into the community to talk more about what we do. And another big thing, we just did a refresh of the 500 by 5 program. That is something we're doing regionally to encourage children to read 500 books by 5 to make sure that they're ready for school. So all of the libraries have promotional materials advertising that. And that is my spiel. I would invite you to come visit me at any time. I'm here in Charlotte Hall, Maryland.
Well, thank you so very much. And you have some innovative programs I know that are planned in Charles County. A reading program with a detention center, and so much more in all 3 counties. I know that there are vacancies on your board of trustees for a member from the 3 counties. So delegates and senators, please recommend a representative for participation on the regional, for the board of trustees. Are there any questions? Well, thank you very much. And we have your handout. It's very comprehensive. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I just want to remind March the 2nd, which is next Thursday. John, you want to give an update, or Kara, in terms of how many registrants? We are still looking for volunteers. It's a wonderful chance to welcome and greet guests to the event. So, John, or Kara, who's on? Good morning, John.
Delegate Patterson. Can you hear me? Yes, we currently have 372 people registered saying they're going to attend. It is we are expecting a small last-minute rush. Anybody who's considering attending, I would suggest they send their reservation in and make their payment this weekend. We normally produce the name tags starting on Tuesday morning, so they still have some time to register. And we are expecting to up our number with the hotel to 400. So we still have room for people to register. And
oh, that's fantastic.
Thank you.
And Kara, do we still need volunteers for that evening?
Yes, we do. And if everybody could send one staff member everybody from the delegation send one staff member for that evening to sit with us at the table and possibly help checking folks in. It would be extremely helpful. Thank you.
That was our last announcement. I just want to thank everyone for attending and to note that on March the 10th, our guest will be Senator Van Hollen, and also representing In Hunger Warehouse Expansion, In Hunger is Robert Hahn, and with the Hospice of the Chesapeake, Perry Limes, and then lastly, the Southern Maryland Tri-County Community Action representatives. So it's going to be a full meeting. And our last meeting will be March 24th, and that will be a focus on the military alliances in the Charles County and in St. Mary's. So if there are no other questions or announcements, again, happy birthday, Kara. I want to thank you for attending, and we hope that you have a wonderful weekend.